Hi, today for lesson 7-9, we're going to be meeting our learning target, which is I can use quantitative reasoning to understand rates, ratios, and percents by using equations, models, and mental math. You are going to need the same colors as yesterday with an addition of orange. So you're going to need a purple, a blue, a green, a yellow, a red, and then an orange today. Today our focus is diving a little deeper into percents. We're going to be using a model to find a percent of a number. So let's go ahead and start. It says the 300 students at a school are in 100 groups of 3. Number 1 says color one group blue. Then it wants to know what percent of the students is this. Well, this is still 1%, 1 out of 100, but the number of students it is 3. Moving on to number 2, it says color 4 groups red. Four groups is still 4 per 100, 4 out of 100, 4%. What numbers of students is it? Well, 4 groups with 3 students in each, it's 12 students. Moving on to number 3, it says color 17 groups green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Sorry, it's a little hard to see in the video. What percent of the students is this? Well, this is still 17 per 100, okay, because there's still 100 groups. But what number of actual students is this? Well, I would take 17 times the 3 students in each group, and I'd get 51 students. The last one, color 9 of the students yellow. Sorry, 9% of the students yellow. That would change it quite a bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's our 9% just like before. But then it says what number of students is this? Well, I would take the 9 times the 3 and it would equal 27 students. Go ahead and pause the video and do numbers 5 and 6 on your own. For the next page, find a percent of a number. So now we're getting into more word problems, and there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So 1, it says 3 students had different ideas about how to solve the following problem. Of the 300 students at a school, 35% say they are going on a field trip. That sounds familiar. How many students are going on the field trip? So here's a couple of different ways we can solve this. Let's look at Anna's idea first. Anna says she's going to divide 300 by 100 to find 1% of 300. Then I will multiply that answer by 35 to find 35% of 300. If I were going to write this out, it kind of look like this. Well, 1% of 300 is what she's trying to find so that she can find then 35% of 300. So first I'm going to do 300 and I'm going to divide it by 100. And that's going to equal 3. So then if I do 35% per 100 of, which also means multiplication, of 300, then what I'm really doing is saying, okay, 35%, which is, we already know is 35 per 100 times 300, right? Then I'm really kind of saying 35 times 3. If I simplify this and divide by 100, then as you can see, it really gets simple. It gets to be 35 over 1 times 3 over 1. And that's why I said before, it's really 35 times 3, which should equal 105 students. Let's look at another one. Rant's idea says this: I will use the fact that 35% of 300 means 35 over 100 times 300. This is very similar to what we just did. So it's kind of the same thing, he just worded it a little bit different. 35% of 300 equals 35 per 100 times 300. They just simplified again to that'd be 3 and that'd be 1, coming down to 35 times 3, and he also got 105 students. Now John's idea is even a little bit different. He says if F is the number of students going on the trip, then the fractions of students going is F over 300. F is what we're trying to find out. And it is also 35 over 100, 35%. I can write and solve a proportion. So if I have F over 300, and that has to equal the 35%, okay? Because this is 35%, 35 out of 100, but our total of students is 300. So these really are going to be equal. Then I can solve this like a percent or like a proportion. And I can do my cross multiplication. And then when I rewrite this, I've got 100F needs to equal 300 times 35. Like before, I'm going to isolate the F by dividing and doing the opposite operation. So I'm going to divide by 100 here. I'm going to show you guys a quick little trick. Since this is 100 and 100, I already know that if I divide these, F equals 3 times 35. Now, if you actually did 300 times 35 and then divide it by 100, it would come out to be the exact same thing. I just kind of said, oh, 100 fits into 300 3 times, that's where I got that 3. And then this would equal, once again, F would equal 105 students. Go ahead and pause the video, and I would like you to do numbers 10 and 11 using one of the strategies that Anna, Rant, and John used. Actually, 2 of the ways. Okay, if you got the correct answer, your work should show that for number 10, there was 240 students. And for number 11, there was 312 students. Going on to the next page. On the next page, we're going to start looking at percents as ratios, which really ties in to our learning target of working with rates and ratios and percents. Now the students at the school are in 3 groups of 100. Let's go ahead and take a look. 1, 2, 3, each having 100 in them. This time it says, using those same colors, using blue first, says circle 1 student from each group in blue. 1, 1, 1. What percent of the students is this? Well, this is still 1% of the students, but what number of actual students this is actually 3. Okay, then it says circle 4 students from each group. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it says, okay, what percent of the students is this? Well, it's still 4%. It just happens to be 4, 8, 12 students. Go ahead and pause the video Actually, the video is going to come to an end. Do numbers 14 and 15, and then we'll go over the answers.